Everyone wondered what that aura was. Could it be the Xiao Yao clan's river spirit? People had never encountered such a strong spiritual energy in their lives. From the aura of this young man, his disciples realized that he possessed incredible power, and they made the right choice. The young man closed his eyes and meditated. At some point, his eyes opened. They emitted a powerful light and released a strong energy. It gave the impression that the young man was ready for a breakthrough, even a small one. The warriors saw a glow around the young man. The same thing began to happen to their hands. It was as if people could feel the energy flowing through them. It was a sword technique. The girl wondered how this young man managed to teach so many people at the same time. The girl wondered how this young man could teach so many people at the same time. At one point, one young man disappeared. Everyone wondered where he disappeared to. They thought that Ni Chunyuan had run away, taking advantage of the commotion, and he must have told everyone by now. The girl thought that big trouble awaited the master. The young man looked at his students, some of whom said that they had managed to break through. They had managed to raise their spiritual level by several steps at once. Everyone began to thank the master for his help. The girl thought that she had been training for many years, and after those grueling workouts, she could not get any results. Thanks to her meeting with the master, she had made more progress. The disciples continued to sit in front of Xiao Yao's place. The girl asked what the master was teaching now. Was it the thunder technique? The young man replied that such practices could bring the amount of spiritual power to the limit of human capabilities. If one reaches a certain point, nothing else can interfere with the mysteries of this universe. But interference in the secret universe, however, displeases the heavens. The guy added that if one crossed the line, there would be a chance of success. If not, the heavenly thunder would turn the body into dust. The girl looked at the master. She was amazed at how calm and cool-headed he was. After he had taught many people his techniques, his face remained unperturbed. The girl screamed that neither of them knew the outcome would be like this. The young man stated before they left these lands, he wanted to see what they were really capable of. The young man turned to the warriors and said that the blind men were the ones who had sent them with such cultivation talent to guard the borders. The girl was startled to think that she could see the lust for murder in the young man's eyes. Suddenly there was lightning. There were thunderclaps. Someone shouted that everyone should run. The girl said that they should run away before the thunder caught up with them. The young man said that the girl should not worry. As long as she was near him, nothing would happen to her. The girl was still afraid. Could this man really resist lightning? Each of the warriors felt that they were in a protective shell, and now they were safe. It was something incredible. All of the master's disciples were in their protective shells, and they were protected from the elements. Lightning was no longer a threat. After the storm was over, everyone returned to their seats. The young man noticed, even though the temple was no longer as full of energy as it had been in the past, this would be enough for him. The master watched his students practice. He asked them to work harder on themselves instead of hiding. The young man told them to leave their bewilderment for later. Right now, they need to concentrate and calm their minds. They must accept that it was thunder. Gu Xuanchen said that he had an answer from the heavens to their prayers. Everyone wondered what it was. Is it not only possible to practice on one's own? Is it really possible to accumulate thunder energy? The young man was leaving. The girl asked him to take her with him. She did not want to stay without him. The young woman decided to follow her master. The young man told her that she should practice on her own. This technique would do him no good. The guy continued, this technique, like the lightning thunder energy, would not help him raise his own level. Recycling this energy could increase a cultivator's strength many times over, but only at the lower levels. The level isn't that high. Instantly, he went far away from these guys. His disciples thought that their master had long ago comprehended this teaching. All this time, he was just showing them which way to go and how to become stronger. The disciples bowed and thanked their master. They said they would follow his teachings forever, thought he should hurry up. Almost all of his disciples' descendants are at a high level. He won't be able to look them in the eye if he doesn't break through. One of the warriors who managed to escape led a squad of guards in to eliminate the young man. He said that this girl had not only let everyone in, but had also encouraged the mountain guards to join her. They broke the ancient law, for which the thunder of heaven fell on them. The man said he wouldn't let it go, and all those responsible will be punished. The warrior said there are a lot of them, and frankly, he's afraid. The man said, could he really have forgotten the rules of the Xiao Yao clan? The rule stated that it was worth it for any of the disciples to break through at the level of a celestial. They could qualify to become an elder. The commander added, or the warrior thinks he holds this post for the sake of adornment. The elder concluded that it's all about strength. Whoever is strongest is right. And the wars looked to where their master had disappeared. They looked at him and knew that now they would have to train on their own. The young man asked the girl, the elder asked them all to leave, and continued practicing himself. What it means? The girl replied that with his level, there should be no need for practice. He doesn't even pay attention to the laws of heaven. The guy thought maybe he wanted to convey to the students that one should not stop, even after they have achieved success. That's definitely true. The elder and his troop saw the young man's pupils. The elder shouted for the girl to come to him immediately. He knows what happened here. The elder saw the expression on the warriors' faces and exclaimed, did you really break through? This was what he feared most of all. He asked how they were able to reach the level of celestials. How was it even possible? The man thought, even if only one of the guards broke through, it was from the realm of myths, but for all of them to succeed like this, it was not possible at all. The elder fell on his knees before his disciples and said that he saluted the elders. All the warriors who came with him followed his example. The aide told the elder that even with the use of the river energy source, these warriors wouldn't be able to break through so quickly. The elder slapped that guard painfully. Now he knew who to worship. This man was only in his way. The man shouted at this guard to look and see that the energy of the river had become many times stronger. He resented that this guard had called him to capture them and become a real sinner in the eyes of the whole clan. The man told the girl that he had caught a student trying to lie to others and asked what to do with him. The girl said he could do as he pleased. All the new arrivals started beating up this guard and saying that he had missed an opportunity. And now everyone is now superior to them in terms of spiritual development. He practically dragged them into a terrible crime. The girl read an important report and said that things were bad. Several clans are heading straight for them. The girl finally found her master. She reported to him that the energy was fluctuating due to the mass practice, which attracted the attention of the three clans. The young man who was with the girl added that all these representatives were now heading towards them. What should they do now? The young man asked who they were and for what purpose they were coming here. The girl explained what these clans were. She added that these clans usually come together to pay their respects. They are friendly only at first glance, in fact, ready to attack at any moment. Over the past hundreds of years, the Xiao Yao clan has often been suppressed by these clans. The young man resented how dare these clansmen raise their weapons against Xiao Yao and oppress him. The young man reported to the master that after many of the elders of their clan became hermits, their affairs were not going as well as they used to. Gu Xuanchen concluded that they were able to handle everything on their own and settle all matters once and for all. He doesn't have time to get involved in petty clan squabbles, but he can't close his eyes this time. The master sent the young man off and said that right now he still had more business to attend to. The young man caught up with the girl and asked what exactly the master meant. The girl was silent. The girl reminded Brother Han of Master's phrase, "Is the Xiao Yao clan still with them?" The young man pondered. The girl continued, "Didn't he notice the master's displeased face? Their master is testing the fire culture. Why does he have such a dislike for those three clans?" The girl concluded it was very simple. If those clans behave humbly, no one will touch them. Otherwise, Let them blame themselves. We'll have to destroy them. The elder looks down at his subordinates. Sword Clan Elder Liu Yun says, "Has the Xiao Yao clan forgotten about manners? How many disciples did they send out?" The pavilion elder continued, "Are there really only rude people left in the Jia Xiao Yao clan?" The girl, upon entering the city, said if she was expected to be polite, let them return in 10 days. A huge guard appeared in front of the girl. He was surprised, since when did the Xiao Yao clan behave like this? He's going to show them. He would see how they would talk afterwards. The big guy wanted to hit the girl, but the young man pushed her away, shouted, "Watch out," and took the gift on himself, parrying that blow. The thug exclaimed, "How dare this pathetic student try to stop him?" The young man successfully dodged the bully's blows. The young man began to charge at the bulky man, something he hadn't expected. He showed what Xiao Yao's wars were capable of. The thug gathered himself, calling the young man very risky, undecided on what he would show him now, figuring it wouldn't be a long fight. The thug asked who the young man's master was. He was the one who taught him to throw himself into a fight head first. The young man proved to be a formidable opponent. He skillfully struck the guard with powerful blows, and that was damage to the bully. The young man said that the bulky man was not worthy to mention his master's name with his filthy mouth. The elder, upon seeing this battle, was amazed. He encouraged others to see this level of spiritual energy. The thug, having gotten a punch in the nose and lost a couple teeth, asked in surprise what level this young man was. The other warriors arrived and looked at what the young man had done to the bulky man and were surprised. They asked if their brother Han was all right. The young man himself was amazed at what he had done. He said he was just doing what his master had taught him, and he thought he had broken through again. The girl and her wars decided to keep moving, but it wasn't to be. The clan elders blocked their way. They asked where they were going. The girl, blazing with anger, with burning eyes, she was ready to go on the offensive. The pavilion elder recalled that according to legend, this level of spiritual power was only available to those destined to become legendary warriors. Another elder said they came to greet them. The girl said, then they should bow their heads and greet them for real. The elders obeyed the order, bowed their heads, and wondered since when this clan had become so intimidating. They wanted to go home. The girl and her wars continued to bring their culture to the masses. They destroyed everyone. They returned to their master, found him right where they had left him last time, and reported that they had done as their master had directed. The young man asked if they had killed them. He did not say so. The girl wondered, have we misunderstood the master? The master told them that they had been impulsive and had killed people without thinking of the consequences. On the other hand, he said, there was little to fear. That's not why he came here. The master said that since the matter was settled, he could start practicing. The master told the young Han that the girl was still young, so he should keep an eye on her. The young man said he would do so. Returning from the masters, the young men sorted out among themselves. Had they misunderstood their master's instruction? Brother Han said, there could be serious consequences. That's what master said. The girl had a suggestion. The guy understood and continued, they probably shouldn't wait for action from the enemy. They should take the initiative. We need to destroy these three clans completely to avoid future problems. It's been a few days. There were explosions and destruction everywhere. No stone was left unturned. Gu Xuanchen continued his practices. He meditated incessantly, and his cultivation continued without stopping for a moment. He needed a breakthrough, but he was not getting one. The young man thought, even though the energy of this place had become stronger, it was still unable to help him break through. The young man thought he heard something. What was that? He thought. It must be the Xiao Yao clan's signal, calling everyone to gather before something big. Xiao Yao Hall. The young man came here and found a strange picture. There were many wounded and dead warriors here. He did not understand how this could have happened. Gu Xuanchen approached one of the wounded warriors and asked what had happened here. The warrior, barely able to stay on his feet, tried to explain everything to the master. Elder Jihu appeared and asked the young man if he was the master of these traitors. The girl turned to the elder and told him not to speak so rudely to their master. The elder said why should he speak to him politely? After all, he was the one who had sent everyone on this botched mission. The girl said that it was not the master's fault that they failed, only they were responsible for their disgrace. The young man said that really embarrassed him. He had taught them that warriors should not let themselves be overpowered by those pathetic losers. The elder was indignant. How dare that young man talk to him like that? The girl tried to calm him down and told him not to be so impulsive. The elder felt that something had happened to him, some suspicious effects of the external energy field. All the wars around them began to feel the same way. No one could understand what was happening to them. The elder shouted for the young man to stop. What the hell is he doing? The young man stated he wouldn't let anything happen to them, so it is better to stay away from him. The girl stated that she had no pain and felt nothing. The warriors who came with her said the same. The girl thanked the master. The elder thought that in order to heal so many people, he would have to work for a week on a restorative elixir. But this young man easily cured 100 people. The elder kneeled before Gushuan. Chen Yi apologized for not seeing his true strength, and thought that it was indeed one of the Xiaoyao clan hermits who had returned to them. The elder rejoiced. He figured their clan was now saved. The young man knew that this elder was actually his descendant and told him to keep an eye on things here. The warriors came running and said that trouble had come. Hostile clans are gathering at the foot. The girl and her warriors told Master Gu that they had managed to get something. They may have been defeated, but they had managed to collect some useful items. There were high-level pills, weapons, and spirit stones, and many other things. The master said that we should gather ourselves and repel the enemy's attack. The young man said he remembered there was a piece of 1,000-year-old iron and a dragon tooth on this table. Where did they go? The man said it's part of their heritage and they keep it all in a safe place. The young man said if these artifacts were brought in, he would help repel the attack. The elder followed Gu Xuanchen and said, "The enemies are attacking." The young man said, "Now we will show them." The young man decided to teach the enemy a lesson and explain to them that they had messed with the wrong people. This would be done in a clear way, and the enemy would not make the same mistakes again. Somewhere outside the temple gates, many members of the opposing clans had gathered at the foot of the mountain. They were planning to storm the temple. The enemies looking at the temple said they were back in their turtle shells. We'll have to get them out of there. Palace Lord Z said that they couldn't retreat anyway. They can't stay there for long if they're surrounded. One of the warriors of the attacking clan set his hammer, unable to wait to meet the Xiaoyao clan. Gu Xuanchen appeared and said, "How dare they open their mouths in the Xiaoyao clan's territory?" The elders of the hostile clans heard this and were very surprised. Who could contradict them? How could this young man be so bold? The young man himself decided to punish his opponent. He was faster than lightning. His slashing sword had time to go everywhere. He struck the enemy, causing maximum damage. At the same time, he was dodging his own blows. The villains were bleeding from their mouths. They lost limbs. They didn't understand where this enemy came from and how quickly he managed to disappear. The warrior was like a ghost, appearing and disappearing in the mist. It was a nightmare for all the clans. The young man finished his work and said it was a breeze. He didn't even break a sweat. One of the surviving elders decided to attack the young man, shouting that he was about to destroy him. The young man replied that given his opponent's venerable age, he would let him choose. The pavilion elder of the hostile clan saw the young man dealing with his enemies. She became very frightened. The young man said that his opponent could choose which foot he would take the first step into the Xiaoyao clan's territory. The young man asked which hand he planned to use to kill his first apprentice. And what eye did he dare cast a contemptuous glance at his clan? The young man said, "Sorry it took him so long to answer his 3 questions. They were simple questions, and he said he would make the choice for him. Now, the head of the hostile clan pavilion intervened in the conversation. She expected to take down her rival, and she thought she could do it. The result was just as pitiful. Gu Xuanchen left no chance for his enemy. The girl thought, this is their true power, but the master could turn their power against them. The young man thought they had come just in time. His assistant and her warriors were fiercely ready to stand up in defense of their master and punish her enemies. The elders of the hostile clans didn't expect that the master, who had already defeated them, would also receive help. They realized that this battle was lost. The best thing they could do now was to retreat. A huge vortex formed in the sky. A light appeared from there, and sharp swords began to fall. The girl watched the phenomenon with surprise and interest. She had never seen such a thing before, especially during the battle. Her warriors started arming themselves with these swords and noticed that it was a high-level weapon. Our hero said they could have fun without him now. He's done his part. The enemy pointed out that Gu Xuanchen had used their strength to forge weapons for his disciples. How dare he forge weapons in the middle of a battle with them? The elders of the hostile clans were furious and said that now the young man can say goodbye to his life for sure. The young man is ready to meet them with dignity. With a cry of die, the enemies pounced on our hero. The young man was calm. He activated the 1,000 Illusions mode. After that, pointing his hand at the enemy, he created a rain of arrows. Apparently, that was the last thing his enemies saw. Many arrows flew from the sky to scatter Gu Xuanchen's enemies. Gu Xuanchen had achieved his goal. All the enemies were struck by these arrows. Elder Gu said that he didn't intend to fight. He hoped that the enemies could keep him entertained for longer. The young man noticed that this skill might not be that strong, but it was enough to kill trash like these enemies. The enemies were no longer going to annoy Gu Xuanchen. They decided that it was best not to deal with this young man. The elder was frightened. The 1,000 Illusion formation. It was a special deadly tactic of the Xiaoyao clan that had been lost for many years. The man continued, the legend says that within a radius of 10 miles, anyone who doesn't belong to the Xiaoyao clan will be killed. Enemies in such cases always retreated. They did not want to be within range of this formation. The young man thought that his descendants should still have much to learn. The young man thought they were saying 10 miles. That's some silly stuff. Everyone within range of this formation was killed by these arrows. It was impossible to hide from them. They could reach their target anywhere. The area of effect of this formation and spread over hundreds of miles, and it was a terrible weapon. The warriors screamed that their plans were being turned on to repay them, and they were just taken and killed. Killed all their elders. And today, their clan would pay for it in blood. An elder of another clan stated, "This is just nonsense. They were brought together in this place by a common enemy, and no one is to blame for their deaths, except that enemy." The clans began to sort things out amongst themselves. Some were outside, others were inside this circle, and those who were inside did not understand why they were being blocked from going home. Everyone was trying to find someone to blame for the deaths of many warriors. Everyone wanted to avenge their master, and the clans clashed with each other. The Xiaoyao warriors were now only watching from the sidelines. Master Tao Qian told his sister to be careful. He asked how she was feeling. The girl thanked her brother. She said she was fine. The man thought that it was the girl who took the best cultivation location. The energy flow there is huge. She knew that in the past 10 years, 80% of the Xiaoyao clan's spirit stones had been given to her refinement. 9 disciples had died during her last breakthrough. The man asked Elder Lu to go for help. The girl said she would try, because if they kept attacking, they would simply fail. Elder Lu thought, if he thinks he's so good, why is he looking for ways to escape? The girl wasn't going to die here. The warrior shouted as the opponent tries to attack. They must not retreat. The master shouted that they must avenge their fallen comrades. The man wondered what was going on here. The elder shouted that it was the formation of 1,000 illusions. and it helped them deal with their enemies. Gu Xuanchen thought, "Here they come. The fish has taken the bait." Master called the girl by name, Lu Shengshe. The young man asked the girl where she was going, and called her master. At the same time, the man said for Elder Lu to contact to clarify their next steps. The girl couldn't understand what was happening. She hadn't done anything. The young man met one-on-one with Elder Lu. Of the surviving elders, the bravest asked who he was. The girl recognized him. She said it was Gu Xuanchen. Where did he come from? After all, he was deprived of his power. The young man said he was glad she hadn't forgotten him. The man asked if the elder knew the rascal. The woman said he was the husband her family had chosen for her, but they were now divorced. He couldn't have come out of nowhere. He must have conspired with the others to take revenge on behalf of the Xiao Yao clan. The elder asked if she was telling the truth. The young man asked the man, "So he is the master of this clan?" The elder shouted in anger that here he was asking questions. The young man immediately told him off for cracking up and told him to shut up. Everyone was horrified. How this guy had touched their elder. The young man said with a smirk, "It just happened." The young man said he had heard that their ancestor willed to find a genius from Anyang City and return. But that one picked up trash like Lu Shengshui. And now they call the one who took so long to make her first breakthrough a genius. The girl screamed at him to shut up. He dare not talk about her like that. The young man continued, "There are so many talents in the Xiao Yao clan, they made lousy guards out of them. They can't call themselves masters." The girl told the master not to listen to this nonsense. Gu Xuanchen would never be forgiven for insulting her master. The girl pointed her blade towards the young man and said that he was about to die. The young man immediately threw her off. She fell to the ground with a thud. He said, "And that is their genius. Their warriors are capable of nothing." The girl wondered since when this man had become so strong. He didn't even move. She didn't recognize him. The other warriors rushed over to the girl and asked how Elder Lu was feeling. One of them shouted, for the young man daring to harm a man of his clan, he would pay today. And this warrior would teach him a lesson now. The man pointed his sword towards Gu Xuanchen and was about to fulfill his promise. The warrior shouted that it was bad. He could feel a strong energy approaching. Surely those three clans must have sent for help. The elder shouted for everyone to get ready to meet the enemy. Someone shouted that he had seen a master, and everyone started looking for their masters, calling them by name. The men couldn't understand what was going on here. It didn't feel like a fight anymore. The apprentice thanked her master. Thanks to him, they were all able to break through to the next level. It was a group breakthrough. His apprentice added that the master still helped with the terrible thunder that they couldn't have handled without him. The enemies couldn't believe that they had all broken through to the next level en masse. How could it be? This had never happened before in history. The elder wondered how he did it, who he was, anyway. It was bad to have such enemies. Gu Xuanchen answered the question. He said that they had heard everything themselves. The young man asked if they still wanted to teach him a lesson. Everyone wondered where he was from. The main hall of the Xiao Yao clan. Could it be that this young man is indeed the lurking elder of this clan? That's impossible. The man said that this is his former son-in-law. He was imprisoned in the dungeon for 2 whole years. His ex-wife stated that there was no way he could be a hermit, much less could he be a clan elder. The girl stated that Elder Lu can't talk to their elder like that. Otherwise, she could pay for it, and don't blame her for anything. The girl got angry and said which one of them would risk touching her. The girl told her master that these people had just made it clear that they were going to attack her. The foreman has to do something about it. The elder thought that this somehow needed to be explained to the other elders. The man turned to Gu Xuanchen. Since when did he have so much power? He shouted at the young man about what he was allowing himself standing in front of their ancestor. After he disappeared, they found Lu Shengshui. Even if the young man had done a lot of things for the clan, he should show respect, and should not insult their choices but should achieve something on his own. And he also said that man had bad taste. I don't know how a man like that could become a clan master. The elder immediately decided to teach the young man a lesson and performed the act of attacking him. The guy stopped him with a hand gesture and said he needed to apologize, and asked if he'd be willing to do it right now. What they saw amazed them. It was the writing of their ancestor. The manuscript was flying in all directions. The stone warrior staggered. Cracks ran down his body. Everyone started scattering in all directions in terror. The elders looked down at the stone giant. Shards flew from it in all directions. The girl shouted that the ancestor statue had moved. Gu Xuanchen had disturbed the ancestor. He will be in trouble now. The ancestor statue uttered, "Junior apprentice Xiao Yao." The statue greeted the master. Everyone was terribly surprised. At what they heard, the statue called the young man a master. The young man decided to ask everyone again. The young man sat down on the stone throne and asked if they were all ready to apologize to him. One of the elders bowed his head to the young man and said that he was blind. He had insulted an ancestor. He asked to be forgiven. The elder apologized and thought that the person in front of him was indeed their distant ancestor. How could he not have noticed it before? He had heard that he had been killed, but he was still alive. A young man sat on a throne. Everyone bowed their heads before him, paying homage and paying respects. His ex-wife was puzzled, how she couldn't see it before, and she didn't know what to do now. The girl was sweating from overexertion. She thought it was impossible. The stone warrior said that the apprentice had failed his master. He had been searching for him for hundreds of years. Because of him, the master was in this position. Gu Xuanchen's disciples couldn't believe it after finding out who their master really was. The young man told everyone that they could go back right now. Breaking time-space is not something that can be handled right now. One day, they'll meet again. The stone warrior said he obeyed his master. The stone warrior told everyone to respect his master as he respected him. He added that they should worship the ancestor and follow his teachings. Everyone in the room bowed to the master. Except for his ex-wife, she sat in front of him at a complete loss. The woman couldn't understand what was going on. Isn't he the scum of the Gu family? How could he become the master of the Xiao Yao clan? After these reflections, the woman bowed her head and said that she too was subject to the ancestor. The girl continued, she hopes the ancestor hasn't forgotten who they once were to each other, and her life is in his hands. The young man looked at her angrily, and the girl flew backwards under the influence of his energy pulse. The young man asked where the head of the punishment hall was. The head of the punishment hall responded and said that he was pleased to welcome the master. The young man said to cancel this woman's cultivation level and put her in the punishment hall for 5 years. The girl looked at the master with horror. The one added to, then expel her from the clan. The girl screamed, "How dare Gu Xuanchen treat her like this? She is from the Lu family. He will never be forgiven for this." She screamed that it would have been better if he had just killed her. Tears came to my eyes. The young man said that killing her was too easy for her. The young man said he wants the girl to see the Gu family become famous. The young man added, if he kills her, she won't see it. He doesn't want her to die. The girl said that Gu Xuanchen is a real psycho. That's no way to treat a woman. The young man put her in chains. He said she was wrong from now on, and not another word. A young man cut out his ex-wife's tongue and told her that the next 5 years would seem like an eternity. The elder gave the girl to a subordinate and told him to take her to the confinement. The warrior said he was obeying his ancestor. The young man said to just be called master from now on. One of the elders asked what the master's plans were. The master said he had one question for now. He'd like to know where the head of the fire cult is. The warrior approached the head of the fire cult and said that the Xiao Yao clan had done something incredible. They dared to challenge the 3 clans. The elder was indignant. They don't take their cult seriously. Everyone they sent to help them is dead. The head of the fire cult said to immediately think things over and fight back against the Xiao Yao clan. The members of the fire cult sect began to think things over and make a plan on how they could fight back against the Xiao Yao sect. Everyone was outraged. Where did this new master come from? Why can't anyone deal with him? We have to give him a real fight. The master thought it was a bunch of garbage, unworthy of asking his name. So he wreaked havoc. Wherever he appeared, there was war, death, and destruction. Everyone in the neighborhood already knew about this young man. No one wanted to face the Xiao Yao clan. Everyone was beginning to fear him. They thought they respected him. It was the turn of the head of the fire cult. He lay wounded and bleeding. The master approached him. The young man said he would let him die as he was supposed to. Again, there was murder and destruction and fires everywhere. The girl told her master she didn't think it was possible. It turned out that a cult with centuries of history was destroyed overnight. The elder told everyone to calm down and follow him. This will not happen again. He didn't want to be dishonored. The girl asked the master if he would send me to heaven if he didn't control himself. The elder said for everyone to listen to him, and everyone followed him. The warriors followed their elder and fell into the abyss, straight into the fire. The strongest clan of the fire cult was wiped out in one night, and the Xiao Yao clan, which had been forgotten for years, was reborn. The Xiao Yao clan was reborn with a desire to kill. The young man found himself on blessed ground. He thought the clan's power had completely dried up, but the tree had grown much better than he had imagined. The young man thought that from now on, the clan's power would begin its recovery. He would be able to break through the spiritual barrier. The young man walked up to the tree. Someone said, "Greeting the master." The master said to come out. The spirit of the tree appeared. The spirit said why the master unraveled as soon as he came. The master listened to this spirit and asked, didn't he have such a disciple, Xiao Meng? The spirit asked if he didn't remember the disciple who overheard cultivation secrets, but she didn't expect to see him after all these years. The young man realized that it was a tree spirit. The spirit rejoiced and said that the master remembered her. The young man said something that budded before the fetus, something barely perceptible. The master called out to Han Gong. The young man approached the master. The master ordered that all be summoned to the blessed land. The young man gathered everyone in the thicket of the forest. The elder said that he estimated that there were 101 students of the level he needed. The young man decided that today he would teach a new lesson to his students. The elder said that the master was controlling the temple, the main source of their power, with such ease. Everyone knew that the powers of the temple and this land complemented each other. Master said to get everyone ready, and they began practicing. The students were frightened by the sound of thunder, and they told the master that it seemed to be thunder again. It was the punishment for disobedience. They were all scared. Everyone thought the master was up to something. The girl kept her eyes fixed on the thunderclaps. She was scared too. She also wondered how it would end. The young man activated the 1,000 illusions technique. As always, he was determined. He kept his gaze fixed on his students. They tried to imitate their master in the technique of 1,000 illusions. This is a very difficult lesson. The disciples realized that the master was going to reveal to them the laws of heaven. The disciples had never seen the master in such a state before. It was as if he was controlling lightning. Suddenly, the strongest lightning struck the tree. Sparks flew through the branches and leaves. Everyone saw inside this tree the spirit of the tree. Next to it, a young girl. A girl who called herself Xiao Meng appeared and said that she thanked her master for his kindness. The girl cried with happiness. At last, her 1,000-year imprisonment in this tree had come to an end. Now she was free. The happy girl presented her master with a modest gift. It was 2 humble eggs. The young man continued to control the lightning and said it was fine. The lightning was taking unusual shapes. The master was continuously observing this process and controlled it. Everything around was subordinate to Gu Xuanchen. Lightning bolts struck the clearing around the young man and burned everything in the vicinity. His students were horrified. They had never seen such effects before, and their master could do it all. The young man said that these fruits are endowed with incredible spiritual power. This amount should last for many years. All the disciples shouted and began to congratulate the master for breaking through to the next level of spiritual power. It was a victory. Gu Family Hall. A young man came home with his warriors and met his sister there, who was in the process of meditating and cultivating. The nurse used her internal techniques, carefully followed the process. She utilized the energy she had accumulated. The girl saw her brother and threw herself on his chest. She joyfully informed him that at last she could practice. The young man stood with a serious look. He was hugged by his sister and a student who came out of the tree. The alchemist knew that the legend said that one could only get rid of the inability to practice after 1,000 years of hard work and self-development. Right now, the master could break through to the next level thanks to the spiritual energy fruit and the power of the tree. The apprentice asked that the master promote her sooner rather than later. The most amazing thing was that he had actually subjugated the Xiao Yao clan. The alchemist thought that he would never doubt the young man again. The elder said that Un congratulates the esteemed master on his victory. Master said that Elder Hu is a respectable person. He should not bow in front of master. The young man announced that in the future, each of them would be able to achieve the same results. In the meantime, they would serve him. My sister said regretfully, "It's a pity my father can't see it. He would have been pleased." The young man motioned for his uncle to follow him. The young man asked his uncle if his father had told him where he was going when he left them 2 years ago. The young man recalled his father teaching him how to hold a sword as a child. The master thought that in his memories, the owner of this body had no special gift, but his father had always carefully and patiently trained him. Even in bad weather, even in the rain, the father taught his son and said that this was the fate of a warrior. The young man remembered that. Master knew that after the situation with the family, his father couldn't stand it and left. His uncle said he wasn't supposed to tell the young man this, but 2 years ago, his father left to save him. The young man learned about it for the first time. He was very surprised. The uncle went on and said it was all about his mother. The young man asked, "Didn't she die while giving birth to Yu Han?" Uncle said it's a generally accepted opinion. In fact, his mother was from the Lu family in Huanggu Prefecture. After she gave birth to a daughter, she was taken away by relatives. The young man knew that this prefecture was famous for its strong spiritual energy, and the Lu family, one of the strongest families in that region. When the young man was forced into marriage, his father went in search of his wife to ask for help so that the young man could escape this fate. The young man said his uncle's skills have improved a lot. Why don't the parents go back? Gu Xuanchen is following to Huanggu Prefecture. The master noticed that the closer to the place, the stronger the energy, as expected. The young man realized that he could use this energy to practice. Everything in this forest was conducive to it. Besides, he's going to help his sister get her parents back. He'd kill 2 birds with 1 stone. He had a good plan of action. The master looked around. There was plenty of energy here. Why doesn't he start practicing right now? This is the perfect place to practice. The young man sat on the grass near the cave. He assumed the lotus posture. He was ready for meditation. Nothing was in his way. He could concentrate. The young man concentrated on his inner energy and was about to release it. It was business as usual. Behind him was a cave. In this cave, some kind of glow appeared. The young man did not notice it. He concentrated on his sensations. There was someone in the cave. The child said to his grandfather, "Is someone practicing in front of our cave?" The girl said, "I guess we should chase that man away." The men tried not to give themselves away. They watched from the cave. Grandpa assessed the situation, looked at the young man, and said his level was not very high. He is not dangerous. The old man told his granddaughter to put such thoughts out of her head. You don't have to send him away." The girl said she understood. She regretted that she couldn't run away and practice. She has to gather medicinal herbs with her grandfather. The next morning came. The young man continued to meditate. His cultivation technique was at the level of his internal energy. He was already at the stage of completion. The young man finished this whole lengthy process and stood up. It worked out just as he had hoped. This favorable place helped him. The girl told her grandfather that the young man was finished. The grandfather told the granddaughter not to be so rude. The grandfather was sure that the girl had made the young man laugh with her sudden scream. The young man thought that these people had gotten lost. The old man asked the young man what clan he was from, because he had not encountered this kind of energy before. The young man said, without looking at the old man, that he was from the Xiao Yao clan. The old man asked the young man for help, if he could help them get out of here. The young man said he was here on very important business and jumped high up. He was the only one seen. The old man thought for a moment and said that he didn't recall there being anyone with this kind of energy in the lands where the Xiao Yao clan was. A girl picking mushrooms asked her grandfather what was the big deal. Wasn't there someone from the Xiao Yao clan in the Jian kingdom? The grandfather told his granddaughter that this kingdom is completely isolated from the rest. How would they be able to raise someone with that kind of energy? It's completely impossible. The girl said it didn't matter because no one could compare to her grandfather anyway. The grandfather said his granddaughter was wrong. The old man said regretfully that he had not been able to make a breakthrough for a long time. The old man reflected that he had seen this young man and thought maybe he could learn something from him. The young man arrived at the capital of Huanggu Prefecture. It was a big city. He surveyed the area from the hill. The young man knew who to look for here. This wasn't his only case. A few days before, his uncle had given him the ring and told him that his father had left it before he left. The young man thought that this ring would help him to find his parents. The young man knew that he must not part with this thing. The young man closed his eyes and tried to recall his father. He was now interested in the storehouse of energy of the sky and stars, the power of 1,000 miles. The young man looked at the people walking around in the city. Among them, he must find those he cared for. He looked out for 2 girls who might be able to help him. The young man decided he had found the right person. The girl motioned for Miss to stop and didn't push it. Qi Ziyan told the girl to leave her alone. She was in a bad mood right now. 2 people recognized this woman as Miss from the Qi family. They wondered why she was drinking here. Rumor has it that a famous alchemist intends to marry her. The others said that there's nothing wrong with that, so why is she killing herself so much? The woman asked the girl to pour her another one. A young man approached and offered to sit down. He was ready to serve the young man. The young man sat silently at a nearby table and watched the 2 women. He tried not to show his interest. The young man thought that he could feel Gu Qinghua's energy. This meant that they had definitely been in contact at least once in the past year. The waiter asked the woman what she wanted. She ordered 2 bottles of wine. The waiter said, "Yes, sir," and went to take the order. The woman pondered what she should do next. A blush appeared on her cheeks. The woman took the bottle of wine and stood up. The girl asked where Miss was going. A woman approached our hero and asked if he was bored drinking alone. She was ready to keep him company. The girl asked why they shouldn't have a drink together. The red blush was still on her cheeks. The young man motioned for her to sit down. He kept thinking about how to start their conversation. The woman said the young man looked not local, where he came from, and what brought him here. The young man said he came here to find his relatives. The boy asked the woman if she had met his father somewhere, and he showed her a portrait of him. The maid asked if it was Uncle Gu by any chance. The girl was amazed when she saw the portrait. The young man asked if you knew him. "Where can I find him?" The maid said they more than knew him. Her mistress saved his life. It's an old story. The girl said when Uncle Gu showed up in their prefecture, he was seriously injured and was just lying right on the road. Her mistress took him away and cured him. It was later found out that he was related to Lu's family, so he went to see them. After that, he was never seen again. The girl said that there were rumors that Lou's family was holding the man hostage. The hostess asked the maid not to talk nonsense. The young man asked that they take him there. The girl warned the young man if he acted rashly, he would end up like his father. The young man, finishing his wine, said, "You don't have to worry about that. He can take care of it." The maid said that he didn't understand anything because he was new here. The lady added that the Lou family is very strong. There is no one in the prefecture equal in strength to the Lou family. There are 3 rank 5 masters in this family. And in this city, they have people everywhere. The girl thought, wouldn't it be better to just get his father out of there? The young man asked if she had a way to get his father out of there. The girl said she had a way, but she wasn't sure if the young man was willing to do it. The young man decided to listen. The girl sees only one chance. It's to become part of her family. The young man hadn't expected such a plan to be voiced. It wasn't part of his plan. The young man said it was a bad way for his father to be called, and he doesn't understand the connection. The girl continued that Lou's family would definitely attend the wedding of any member of her clan, and then the young man would be able to give it a try. The young man still thought it wasn't a serious plan and said it wasn't worth the trouble. The young man said that no one would be able to dissuade him from what he had planned. He's going to have to develop his own plan. He would have to get his bearings. Both girls looked intently into the young man's eyes. Their eyes were sincere. The young man appreciated that. What happened next was unbelievable. The maid grabbed the young man and told him he could not do that. The young man shouted to be let go. The servant girl cried continued. Her mistress had saved his father. Now was the time to repay her kindness. The maid continued to sob. She said that otherwise the young man was not at all different from the same bandits. The young man took offense and said it was all gross, and he couldn't sign up for that. Marriage is serious business. Visitors of the establishment discussed this altercation. They thought the guy was bullying 2 girls. The young man thought it was bad luck all around. The maid decided to play along and shouted for the young man to let her mistress go. He doesn't deserve her. He's a nasty, heartless man. The girl was amazed at her maid's behavior. As it turned out, the young man had absolutely no way of communicating with women. He wanted them to leave him alone. He yelled at them to shut up. I can't believe they're still talking. They were hurting his ears already, and it was time to end it. The maid continued to cry. She said she would try to calm down. The girl explained her decision to the young man, that she just didn't want to marry the local alchemist. That's why she took this step, hoping that the young man would help her. The girl added that there would be no problem because the young man was not from around here. The girl explained the whole arrangement once more. If they get married and he can get to Lou's family now. And the girl avoided a marriage she doesn't want, and everyone will get what they want. The girl added that after that, the young man and his father would leave the prefecture. Even if the Han family found out about it, they wouldn't ruin their reputation with such a scandal. The young man asked if this situation wouldn't affect her future marriage. The girl stated that she thought she didn't want to get married at all. The girl added, even if the reputation was ruined, she would just focus on cultivation. The young man thought the girl was rather ambitious, and he decided that this plan wasn't so bad. The maid stated she is confident that everything will go smoothly, but in order to do so, the young man needs to create an identity that is not inferior to Master Han Mo. The girl suggested to the young man that since he came from the Xi'an kingdom, maybe he could pretend to be the master of the Xiao Yao clan. The young man thought, so he would have to pretend to be the master of the Xiao Yao clan. The girl told the young man that this clan had been forgotten for many years, but she had recently heard something about it. The maid added that she was sure if her mistress insisted on marrying the young man specifically, everything would be fine. The young man said to let these crazy girls do as they see fit. Some time has passed. The maid tells her mistress to be careful. Han Mo came to visit the girl. He said she'd finally come back. He'd been waiting for her for a long time. The groom has guessed that his bride is not alone, and they have a guest. Gu Xuanchen was quietly standing aside. He didn't touch anyone. Han Mo saw him and shouted who the young man was. The girl announced that he was her friend. The groom was not satisfied with this answer. He became even more angry. Han Mo shouted out what kind of friend was this who would be sharing a wagon with her. The girl said that she didn't have to report to him. The scandal was heard by the girl's father, an elder of the Qi family. He started to educate his daughter, said she's an adult, but she still continues to behave inappropriately, and she's still being rude to her father. Looks like it's time to take care of her. The elder saw the young man. The girl realized that she would have to tell her father the story too. The groom tried to smile. It was a stupid smile. The girl looked at him with contempt. The father thought that when he had talked to his daughter about marriage a few days ago, she had been very angry. Had she changed her mind? The girl showed her father a new young man and decided to introduce him. The girl said his name is Gu Xuanchen, and she wants to spend her whole life with him. He is the master of the Xiaoyao clan. The girl asked that her father bless their marriage. The elder interjected, wondering if he was the master of the Xiaoyao clan. The elder bowed politely to the young man. He said that he didn't know, and asked if there were many members of the Xiaoyao clan in their area now, and what business the young man had come for. The young man said that he was the only one who had come. The other masters are busy practicing right now. The young man came here on personal business. The old man had heard that the Xiaoyao clan had destroyed the fire cult. The old man looked at the young man and thought, even though their kingdom was still inferior in strength, but the boy definitely had special abilities, and that couldn't be ignored, and that would have to be utilized. Han Mo heard all this and shouted, "What about him? He is this girl's real fiancé." Han Mo said that the elder had already blessed his marriage to his daughter. The elder said that he could not go against his daughter's will in the matter of marriage. She had finally found a man she loved dearly. Han Mo said that in that case, he refuses to serve the elder, and his daughter, as from an alchemist, will not receive any help. In fact, Han Mo decided to challenge Gu Xuanchen to a fight. The young man looked at him as if he were suicidal. The girl stated that although Han Mo was an alchemist, one should not underestimate others. You shouldn't mindlessly challenge whoever comes to mind. It could be fraught with bad consequences. The master said there would be a marriage ceremony in 5 days. He proposed a tournament, and the winner of the tournament would marry this girl. Han Mo said he agreed, and thought that he would bring that upstart closer to death. The alchemist stated that they would fight until the moment Gu Xuanchen died. Late at night, the girl apologizes to Master Gu. She said she didn't think it would turn out like this, and she's very upset, and she doesn't know what she's gonna do now. The girl said that such duels are extremely dangerous, and this young man had better run away as soon as possible. The young man, smiling, said that he would sort it all out himself, and the girl shouldn't worry about it. The girl asked if such events wouldn't ruin the Xiaoyao clan's reputation. The young man said that he was not weak at all. It wouldn't even be worth his attention. The maid tried to explain that this was a serious situation. It's not that simple. The girl added, "He may be considered strong enough in his lands, but he can't win this fight here. The girl is finished because his skills are incomparable to those of the masters here." The young man did not react to the girl in any way. She became even more indignant. Her mistress is worried about the boy, and he's so aloof. That's very strange. The maid said that she is now at the beginning stage by the standards of their prefecture. Why doesn't the young man fight her first? The young man took it as a joke. He didn't say anything back. Then he thought about it some more, and said he agreed. The girl motioned for the master to attack. She was ready to fight back, and decided she could do it. The girl decided to show the young man what martial arts means. The young lady knew techniques, and a lot of scary words. That was one of them. For starters, the opponent decided to mimic the dragon strike. She scattered and shouted, "Look out!" The master must have been frightened of her. in her mind. The young man looked at this lady with wide-open eyes. Her mistress worried that she might hurt the young man. The guy, without much exertion, grabbed the girl by the neck and lifted her off the ground. It looked like that was the end of the fight. Mistress cried out and covered her mouth with her hand. She was silent. The girl panted, dangling on her opponent's arm and thinking, "How is this possible?" Tears were streaming from her eyes. She didn't understand how a guy from the backwoods could pull something like that off, and in a matter of seconds. The young man asked the girl if people still practice Tiangen. The girl asked how the young man knew about this technique. The young man asked the girl if she also practiced this technique. She answered in the affirmative because it was her family's technique. The young man asked, if this technique is their family, then their lineage is 500 years old. Both girls were shocked. How could the young man know that? The young man was surprised. He didn't think he would meet his descendants. Things got more and more interesting from here on out. The young man knew that this practice was not easy. If he didn't have a mentor who could help him in times of need, he might go crazy. The girl was under the influence of alcohol, and she said she didn't care. She asked if the young man could help her. The girl told Master Gu that her family treasures the technique and would give anything for it. The young lady asked the young man how he knew about it. The young man remained silent. He didn't want to tell the whole truth. No one would believe him anyway. The young man was thrown into a cold sweat. He had almost married his direct descendant. The young man walked to the pill-making room. There was a huge furnace in front of him. Does this master really know how to make pills? The older girl said she didn't know anything about this recipe. The landlady said enough talking. She wanted to observe the young man. She offered to stand and watch in silence to see what would come of it. The young man began the process of making the pills. Nothing was difficult for him here. The girls were amazed at the result of the young man's work. They shouted that he had succeeded in making a spirit pill. How did he manage to create such a quantity at one time? The girls flew up to the young man and knelt down before him and begged his pardon for their indiscretion, and they called him a great master. The girl thought that only one of their ancestors had once managed to recreate this recipe. He was the best alchemist in their prefecture, and this young man managed to create hundreds of pills. A young man invited the girls to try his products and evaluate them for quality. The girls put the pills in their mouths. The master watched for their reactions. So far, nothing had happened. The young man slightly began to perform manipulations with his hands behind their backs. The girls blushed. A blush appeared on their faces. The maid said her body was on fire. The girl told the maid to calm down. The sensations were unusual for her. Gu Xuanchen said that their technique for practicing was wrong. If they continued like this, they would only lose strength. The young man promised to prepare the meridians. He didn't see any other way out. Such a thing could only be corrected by a master. The young man worked on these girls and said that in the future they should only practice with his recommendations in mind. The girls felt much better. The mistress said she was able to break through to the next stage. The maid announced that she was able to do the same. The girl told her father that Master Gu is incredible. He's a real expert. The old man thought that this young man had not only relieved his daughter of the pain in her entire body, but had made her stronger. This guy must really be a real master and alchemist. The old man said that, in that case, all of their clan members should immediately take these pills. Elder Qi said that his daughter had helped their family a lot. He wanted to know how they met the young man. The girl decided to tell her father the truth. The old man was furious. "I can't believe they're playing a trick on him. This is unforgivable." The girl admitted that she didn't think this young man would turn out to be so strong. The elder said, in that case, they won't deviate from this plan. If Old Man Gu is really his father, he will find a way to get him out of there. The girl asked her father what about her marriage. The old man replied, hadn't she seen all those pills? This guy can make their family the strongest in the whole prefecture. The old man continued, would it be bad if such a person became a member of their family? Elder welcomes Elder Han. Elder Han said that they are as courteous as ever, Han Mo said as he greeted his uncle. Old Man Han said they'll be related soon. Maybe it's time to call him father-in-law. Elder Han assumed that all matters would be resolved today. The alchemist hoped that the fight would be short and he would be able to deal with his opponent quickly. The elder hoped for his son. He believed he had good fighting skills. The elder suggested not throwing around such words so far, and we must wait for the duel. Gu Xuanchen felt that Old Man Han would soon be ashamed of his words towards him. Elder Han said that he could sense a new aura. Did they really manage to break through? The man said they were able to do it at such a young age. The potential of their family is incredible. The elders walked both of them to the podium. The man said they were invited to watch the battle today. They must not, under any circumstances, get into any trouble. It was an elder of the Lu family. The man suggested that the woman not think about it. He told her it was probably just a similar name. The woman interjected, "Then why did they invite him here? Perhaps this is really their son." The man said he knew his son. He would never get involved in something like this. The young man who overheard this conversation said that his son was talentless. The young man added that he wasn't even worthy of dying in a duel. The woman told the young man not to be rude to his uncle. The young man asked his aunt, for it was she who had given this man life. The young man continued to bully. Doesn't the woman think that he is not worthy to be called uncle? The young man continued, if he and the master didn't know each other, he would still be in the dungeon. Out of the blue, lightning struck. The lightning struck the unscrupulous young man, and he immediately fell to the ground, wounded. A man and a woman saw a young man. He was standing right in front of them. The young man silently showed them his hand. The lightning was still roaming around him, and it was clear that it was his handiwork. The parents said it was Chen Er. They recognized him. The man asked how the young man managed to escape. He replied that that family had been wiped off the face of the earth. The young man was silent for a moment and added that he had come for them. The woman couldn't check. Could it really be Chen Er? She really wanted to see the young man. She said he had grown a lot and she didn't recognize him. The woman wants to hug him. He's a little distant. The young man instinctively recoiled from the woman. He was not ready for the role of a son. Everyone had already gathered in the stands. They were waiting for the opening of the tournament. Master Lu was also present here. The woman thought her son was angry that she had left without saying goodbye. The young man looked at her as if she were a stranger. The father said the son shouldn't behave like that to his mother. Master Lu said that Old Man Gu can't hope for this marriage. If he doesn't back down, he will die. His father said his mother did everything to keep him alive. But her father found out. If she had managed to break through the formation, things would have turned out very differently. The woman said she prayed for her son every day. Tears flowed from her eyes. The young man, looking at his mother, thought that she had suffered a lot. Gu Xuanchen said that he came here for his parents. His sister is speechless. They are the only ones who say them. Elder Lu shouted that he dare not talk to this woman. The young man casually, with a light sword motion, shoved the rogue man away from him, so that he wouldn't interfere with his conversation with his mother. The young man decided, if need be, he was ready to defend his parents' honor. He had to get into the fray, and his parents weren't ashamed of him. The young man defeated his opponent. He was defeated. From his last strength, Master Lu stood up and called the young man's name. He thought he was something else. He shouted the young man has no idea who he just raised his hand on. The woman asked her brother to show mercy. He is her